All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Gavin Wang. I am an assistant professor at UT Dallas as well. So today the paper I'm going to present is Large Language Models Polarize Ideologically, but Moderate Effectively in Online Political Discourse. It's a joint work with Srinath Amdurai and Shitong Li from HEC Paris, and also Oliver Sun and Lin Wu from Wharton. The motivation of this paper is the potential impact of ChatGPT on political polarization. The reason is that initially when ChatGPT was launched, there has been some research documenting that ChatGPT has a liberal bias. So at the very beginning when ChatGPT was launched, if you ask ChatGPT to write a poem about Donald Trump, ChatGPT will tell you, sorry, I'm an AI, I cannot help you. But if you ask ChatGPT to write a poem about Joe Biden, it can do a pretty decent work. A leader with a heart of gold, Joe Biden, brave and bold. Okay? So this can cause serious problems if you think about this, especially when you are also considering the current situation in the world. Political polarization is really happening in almost everywhere around the world. So in this paper, our research question is, has ChatGPT intensified online political polarization? And we're not only trying to document the phenomenon, but also the mechanism, how and why such effect happen. So the data we use in this paper is comes from the Reddit, and we're specifically looking at one subreddit called Politics. So this is one of the largest political discussion platforms in the United States, and this platform has been widely examined in previous literature, like this 2021 Nature article, 2023 PNAS Nexus article. And a benefit of this platform is that it allows discussion from both partisans so that we can capture the change of their political slant for both sides. So we use a difference in difference method for the empirical methodology. So specifically, ChatGPT was launched in November the 30th, 2022. So we select the authors in our data 1 year before ChatGPT was launched. And we used 1 year before as the control period and the year when ChatGPT was launched as the treatment period. So every year after November the 30th, we treat that as the after ChatGPT period. So this is a similar method that are used by Birch et al. And Xue et al. Before to examine the impact of ChatGPT on platforms. And also this method can help account the seasonality of people's political ideology online. All right, so how do we measure political slant? So we use an established method in the econ as well as IS literature, which is a bag of word method that are using Congress records to train the model. Basically, in the Congress records, certain senators have, for example, left-leaning partisans, certain other senators, congressmen have right-leaning partisans, so that we can document the keywords that are more frequently used by each partisan in order to design this prediction model. And then we can use this model to further predict the political slant for each Reddit comment. Okay? So the old dictionary used in these existing papers were created in 2007, so we also update the dictionary in this paper by collecting the congressional records in 2021. So here are the top keywords that we used in our prediction model. For example, if you take a look at those democratic-leaning keywords, okay, so the top two word phrases include African American, human rights, public health, tax credit, etc. Well, for Republican-leaning people, they tend to use illegal immigrants, illegal immigration, national debt, national security, these kind of keywords. So the core idea about this method is that even for the same concept, different partisan people tend to use different keywords. So in this way, we can identify whether a person or a comment is more left-leaning or right-leaning, and to what extent it is left-leaning or right-leaning. So for this paper, we got about 300,000 unique authors for about 7 million comments on Reddit, and we normalize the political slant of each comment into a range from -1 to +1, where 0 is basically neutral. So if the political slant of a comment is 0, it means that this comment is neutral in politics. If it is smaller than 0, it means that you're more left-leaning. And if it's smaller, more toward -1, it means that you're more left-leaning. And similar for right-leaning. we have also tried, using other cutoff points for, dividing whether a person is more left-leaning or right-leaning, and the results are pretty consistent. Then we can calculate the political slant for each author using the mean value of the political slant of their comments. So for robustness, we also verified this political slant results using some other subreddits on Reddit, including r conservatives and r Democrats. So on these subreddits, authors will also have a label about whether they are left-leaning or right-leaning. And we verified that using our method, the result is pretty consistent with their self-declared labels as well. So in our data, about 60% of the authors are actually neutral, while about 25% are right-leaning, 15% are left-leaning. Well, if you take a look at comments, actually the majority of the comments are like half of them are actually right-leaning. About 30% are left-leaning, and 18% are neutral. So here I should highlight here that we say a comment is, for example, Democratic leaning or Republican leaning doesn't mean the person necessarily belongs to this party. So let me show you the main results, okay? So after the time when ChatGPT was launched, we figured out that those people who were originally left-leaning, colored in blue, became significantly more left-leaning after ChatGPT was launched, as opposed to their original political slant documented here in this vertical line. Well, if you were a neutral author before, you're pretty much still neutral. Well, if you're right-leaning before, you become more right-leaning. Okay? So we find out that Democrat-leaning author became more left-leaning, neutral authors remain neutral, Republican-leaning author became more right-leaning. So overall, this whole platform became significantly more polarized. You might be curious about the scale of the polarization level. So here, 0.004 is actually pretty significant economically. It can push a median left or right author to a top 30% extreme one. And you are probably curious whether there's already existing polarization trend on this platform before ChatGPT was launched. The answer is no. So we find out that if we move the treatment date from the time when ChatGPT was launched to 1 year before, actually the whole platform was becoming less polarized. So left-leaning people were becoming a little bit right-leaning 1 year before, and right-leaning people were becoming a little bit left-leaning. So similar results for 6 months before, left-leaning people were becoming a little right-leaning, and right-leaning were becoming a little left-leaning. So we even moved the treatment date to 3 weeks before ChatGPT was launched, which was the time when there was the midterm election in the United States. And it turns out that there's still no this kind of general polarization trend on the platform. So there was no existing trend of polarization. Very likely, this is the result from ChatGPT. So you must be very curious why ChatGPT has made people more polarized on these platforms. Well, let me give an example about a comment in our data. So this comment, we know this comment is generated by ChatGPT because the author explicitly said that here's ChatGPT's take on what Republicans should be thinking. The members of the majority party should consider all options in this situation, blah, blah, blah. Also, when asked about what McCarthy could offer Democrats in exchange for their support, I would say that, so this is basically from ChatGPT, I would say that the majority leader could potentially offer the minority party a range of concessions, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So from this example, you can actually get a flavor about how ChatGPT can actually help people sharpen their ideological expression. So in this paper, we argue that ChatGPT can actually function as an algorithmic mouthpiece. It can help individuals to sharpen their ideological expression, especially for inexperienced people who are not very good at doing political expressions. Well, on the other hand, ChatGPT can also help people to soften their hostile tone and further improve civility so that it could potentially improve the political discussion on the platform. So let me show you the mechanism. So in this paper, we find out that there's actually an increased political polarization on the platform, but there's also a decreased affective polarization. So to preview the mechanism, we find inactive authors on the platform were using ChatGPT. Okay, this is pretty consistent with our previous argument that less experienced people tend to benefit more from using ChatGPT to sharpen their expressions. And inactive authors became more polarized, while active authors become more active. So those inactive authors were using ChatGPT so that their expression become more polarized. But active authors, although they're not using ChatGPT, they're still influenced so that they're now making more comments on the platform. And we find there's the same-party reinforcement and cross-party moderation effect. Specifically, if you see a comment from a same party, you're very likely to get more polarized toward the direction of that comment. But if you see a comment from an opposite party, you're also going to incline toward that comment as well, so that you're becoming less polarized in this case. And we further show there is a reduced effective polarization on the platform. So let me quickly go over this mechanism results. So we find out that after ChatGPT was launched, the inactive authors are leaving comments that are significantly longer, and also they are less human-like. So all these features suggest that very likely those inactive authors have used ChatGPT to help with their political expression. On the other hand, we find out that the inactive authors became significantly more polarized if you compare them to active ones. So it's about 4 times more polarized after ChatGPT was launched. But active authors now actually leave much more comments in comparison to before. So after ChatGPT was launched, inactive authors are 4 times more polarized in comparison to active ones, while active authors, although they're not using ChatGPT, they are now posting more comments. And we document the same party reinforcement effect. Okay? So in this plot, we're actually showing the result of the active liberals' reaction to inactive liberals. So if the comment is generated by human, it is colored in purple. So you can see if the comment is generated by human, your political sound is not really changed. But if the comment is generated by ChatGPT, very likely you become more left-leaning. So you become more polarized, reinforced in this effect. Similar for active conservatives. So if you also see a comment from conservative people, your subsequent comments will also become more right-leaning, so that your polarization, your political slant is going to get reinforced. However, if you see a comment from a cross-party person, for example, if you're an active liberal and you see a comment from an inactive conservative, if the comment is generated by human, still you're not really affected. But if the comment is generated by ChatGPT, now there's an opposite effect. Now, basically, you're becoming more inclined toward the right-leaning direction. So you're kind of persuaded by that ChatGPT-generated comment so that you're getting less polarized. Similar, if you're a conservative, if you see a comment from liberal people, and if the comment is generated by ChatGPT, you're becoming slightly left-leaning, so you're becoming less polarized in your direction as well. And we also document a reduced effective polarization, so we find out that the hostility level of comments on the platform has declined. The toxicity of the comments on the platform also declined. And there has been no change in emotions of the comments. All right, so to summarize, in this paper we find out that after ChatGPT was launched, the political discourse on Reddit became more political polarized. The effect size is non-trivial, and we find out the results are pretty robust across a variety of different specifications. Importantly, we argue that ChatGPT functions as an algorithmic mouthpiece. It can help individuals to sharpen their ideological expression, especially for inexperienced people. While on the other hand, it can also soften the hostile tone and improve the civility on the platform. So we find out that although ChatGPT has increased political polarization on the platform, it has actually reduced effective polarization on the platform. So this result actually challenges the existing conventional view that political extremity often coexists with incivility. Our results show that the multifaceted nature of large language models may actually help improve the political discussion online. that's all I have today. Thanks a lot for listening.
Thank you, Gavin. Very interesting. I think another piece of evidence showing the persuasiveness of LLMs in a way.
Oh, right. Yes, yes.
So, some type of questions.
What do you think is the reason for the last two conclusions? Why do you think that's the case?
I think, so basically that comes from our core argument here. So one thing is, as individuals, especially if you're inexperienced in doing political expression, using ChatGPT can significantly help you polish and beautify the word that you are using, so that very likely you can get more polarized, because now your expression gets better. But also the things developed by ChatGPT is also more polished, so that people get more polite, civilized online. That's why people are more likely to be persuaded by the comments generated by ChatGPT. Yes.
Yeah,
yes, please.
Study and sobering results, if anything. Right?
Thank you.
So the reds and the blues, yeah, that's kind of concerning. But I'm interested in the grays too, the people who are neutral, right? And you may have the capability to dig deeper into the libertarians or people with, not in the conservative.
Right.
But I'm interested in how they are, changing with the ChatGPT thing also.
Right.
Second, maybe you've already done this. Have you considered a sample of only authors who have posted before and after? Restricting the sample to that, because then you can see the same pool of people. Have they become more polarized, or is it that more polarized people are speaking up on Reddit?
Oh, in this paper, we're only looking, so we have selected the authors before ChatGPT was launched, so we're only looking at those authors. Yes.
Only those. That's perfect.
Yeah, we haven't taken, but that's a good suggestion. We can also take, whether there are more, polarized people coming to the platform after it. Yes. Yeah, very good comment. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. I have two questions. So the first one is that on your experimental design, how did you grade the neutral comments? So, what were your tools? What were your guidelines or your references? And do you really have neutral comments in the political side? How do you filter those?
Yeah, again, we're not 100% sure that they're actually neutral, because we calculate their political slant for individuals using the average slant of their comments. For example, if they have posted 3 comments before, and each of the comment is a neutral comment, then on average they will have a neutral standing for these individuals. Yes.
The question is that, so for example, on the Reddit, if someone agreed with a comment that is more lefty, did you also consider those people as in your data or not?
Can I say that again?
For example, if someone says that I love Trump, and someone's commented out, okay, I agree with you. Did you also consider those type of content or people into your?
That's a good question. Yeah, we actually do not consider that. Yes, because we evaluate the political slant based on using this keyword method. So if you are saying I agree with you, then very likely it is not categorized into either party. Yes, that's a very good point. Yeah, we can.
Neutral, right?
Yes, that will be considered as neutral. Yes.
Lots of questions, and I love for the conversation to continue in the break. Apologies for those of you who wanted to ask another question, but I think we have to wrap it up here. Thank you to all the presenters. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the first session of the conference. We're going to try to go back to our timetable, so we're going to keep this break a little shorter. We're starting again at 11:20. Please be back then. Thank you.